Hey guys, today we're going to talk about modeling tax schedules, and this is going to be a pretty short lesson today. So, first of all, what's the difference between a W-4 and a W-2? That's really kind of important to know. A W-4 is filed with your employer and it tells them how much to deduct in taxes from your check. Okay, so you can have different amounts taken out of your check. You can have basically you fill out a form that tells how many deductions you want. Okay, so you can have zero taken out, which means they're going to take a lot of taxes out of your check. Okay, and then you're in your situation, a high school student situation, you're probably going to get most of that money back, or probably all of it back, when you file your tax returns. But you can also choose to have a deduction for yourself. You can have, if you're married, you can have a deduction for your spouse. You can have another one for each child that you have. Okay, and you get to choose what that's going to be. Now, the ramifications of that are when your taxes are done, you're going to have to live with whatever answer. So, a lot of people, like I used to choose zero, and I had a lot taken out of my check because I could live off of my paycheck pretty easily. And then when I filed my tax returns, I got a big check back from the government because I had too much money taken out of my check. Okay. Now, the conventional wisdom is that you should never give the government more money than they're entitled to. Okay, because that's your money. But some people like to use it for like a forced savings account. So they have this money and it's taken out of their check and it's sent away to taxes, and then they get a big tax return in the spring, and then they have a big chunk of money that they can do something with. They can buy something that's they wouldn't normally be able to because it's a big check, or they can put it in savings or go on a trip or something like that. Okay. One of the things that I used to do was when I was coaching, I had a separate coaching salary that was paid at the end of the season. And what would happen is I discovered the first year that I had that done was that they put that on one check with my teaching salary, and then when I had my taxes, or when I got my check, I got hardly any of the coaching because they assumed that I made that much money all the time. And so it threw me into a bigger tax bracket, and they took a lot of it. They took almost all of it one year. And I had to wait till I got my tax returns done before I got that money back. So I got wise to that, and I talked with the HR department, and they said, here's what you do is you come in, I would get paid for my coaching in March. You come in February, and you change your W-4, and you up the number of deductions that you have. And then that took less money in taxes out of that check. And then I would come in and change my W-4 again the next month, and it would go back to normal. I'd turn it back to the way it was supposed to be. And so I got to actually have my money all at once. And then I didn't get it in my tax return, of course, but you can kind of play those games sometimes. So now what's a W-2? Well, a W-2 is filed with the government, and it tells how much money you made and how much was taken out how much was deducted in taxes. Now, your W-2 by law is required to be given to you by your employer by the end of January. I'm not sure exactly what the date is. For some reason, January 28th sticks in my head. But they have to give you that W-2 by the end of January so that you can have your taxes filed. Okay? Now, one of the things you want to do, there's so much fraud that goes on where people steal your tax deduction, okay? You want your taxes filed as early as you can possibly do it, okay? Because what people are finding out sometimes is they go and they file their tax return, and then they find out it gets rejected because somebody's already filed a tax return with your Social Security number, okay? And then it's a big hassle to get it all straightened out. So get those things filed as quickly as you possibly can. Okay? Now, use the schedule provided to answer the following questions. Okay, so if your filing status is married filing jointly or a qualifying widower or widow, your taxable income is, so we did some of these last time, okay? So if you fall in this range, here's your tax, okay? This is, you're gonna have this plus 15% of anything over that amount right there. Okay, so Chandler and Monica were married and filing jointly. Their taxable income was $165,000 last year. So they go find on this chart, oh, they fall between $151,200 and $230,450. Okay, so they're going to fill out this line right here, not the other ones. Okay, so they put in their income right here, $165,000, and they're going to multiply that by 28%. They're in the 28% tax bracket. So 165,000 times 0.28. This comes out to be $46,200. Now, they get a deduction, so they get to subtract $12,948.50. So that means that they get, their taxes are going to be $33,251.50. Piece of cake. Okay? So there we go. According to Chandler and Monica's W-2 forms from their employers, together they paid $30,153 in taxes. When they file their tax return, will they get a refund or owe? Well, they're going to owe because they only paid this amount in taxes and they must pay that amount in taxes. So they're going to owe money, and we can figure out how much it's going to be by taking the amount of the tax and subtracting how much they did pay already in taxes. Okay, so this is going to be what? 50 cents right here, and that's going to be 8 and 9 and 0 and 3. So they're going to owe $3,098.50. That is due by April 15th. That's tax day every year. April 15th, they're going to have to pay that amount of money. Now, they may have filed their taxes as early as February, but the check has to be sent in, has to be postmarked by April 15th, or else you get penalties on top of this. You get late fees and penalties and all kinds of stuff. So you always want to pay that. Now, there are people who have super complicated tax returns. They're generally or have income from many sources. and they can file an extension sometimes because sometimes you just can't get it done by April 15th. But here's what you got to do. You have to estimate how much your tax is going to be, and you have to be close. And then you send in a check for that amount of taxes, and then if you overpaid, they'll send you money back when you have your tax returns done. Okay? So there you go. So let's see. Let's write some compound inequalities here. That's kind of the thing for this chapter is compound inequalities. So when going camping for a week, a family decides they need at least 2 gallons of water, but no more than 8 will fit in their vehicle. Okay? So write how much water they were going to bring. Okay, so it's going to be at least 2 gallons. So 2 gallons is the minimum. It's going to be less than or equal to the amount that they bring. But they can bring no more than 8 gallons. So it's going to be less than or equal to 8. So there's my compound inequality. It's an inequality because I've got a less than or equal to sign, or I can have a greater than or equal to sign, or a less than or greater than sign. A child must be between the ages of 3 and 9 to go in a certain bouncy house. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video here real quick and write out your compound inequality, and then jump back on here and we'll see if you got the right thing. Okay, so they got to be at least 3 years old. So that's the bottom end. And they can be no more than 9. That's the top end. Okay. Okay, again, after we read this question, go ahead and pause the video and figure this out yourself, and then jump back on here. So a certain food is best served when the temperature is over 150 degrees, but not over 190 degrees. This sounds like a steak to me. Okay, you want it to be at least 150 degrees because you don't want to have like that poor man in, I can't remember where, India, I think it was India, who had a 53-foot long tapeworm in his stomach from eating undercooked beef. Okay? Yeah, so you want it to be at least 150 degrees, but you don't want it at 190 degrees. That's a well-done steak. That's awful. That's a sin. Okay, so go ahead and pause your video here and write your inequality, and then we'll do it together. Okay, so it would be 150 on the lower end, and it would be 190 on the higher end. Notice that all these less than or greater than signs, they always point to the left, okay? You always want the smallest number on the left. Okay, last question here. You told the vet to feed your cat, or the vet told you to feed your cat a half to 1 cup of food per day. So pause the video, write it out, and then jump back on here. Okay, so we're going to have 1/2 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 1. Now, all these I used x. You don't have to use x. You can use any variable you want. Okay, but x is the one we generally use. A lot of times we use t also for time. A lot of problems are time problems in math, and so you use t for time. Okay, now that we have some practice, let's turn to the Schedule Y1 table and turn into compound inequalities, okay? So, tax schedule description. So, you make over $0, but not over 14 or 18,450. So, write that as a compound inequality. All right, so we're going to write 0 is less than or equal to, because you could make $0. X is less than, well, let's check the wording here. It says, but not over. Okay, so this could be equal to. So there's my first one. Okay, now the next one says over $18,450, but not over $74,900. Okay, so this one, I'm going to have 18,450 here. Now, notice it says over this. So this is going to be less than, not less than or equal to, x, which is less than or equal to 74,900. Okay, so now what I want you to do for the rest of these, I want you to pause the video, go ahead and write out all the rest of these, and then jump back on here and compare them to what I got. Okay, so here we go. We're going to be over 74,900. So again, that's a less than, but not over 151,200. The next one is going to be over 151,200, but not over 230,450. The next one is going to be over 230,450, but not over 411,500. These seem like weird numbers. I don't know why they chose these numbers. They just seem to be random. Okay, and then over 411,500. But not over 464,850. And then the last one is just over 464,850. So that's just going to be, whoops, x is greater than $464,850. Whoops, I put the comma in the wrong place there. There we go. And so your chart's complete. I'd be able to write a compound inequality for my test if I were you. Okay, next, let's model the tax schedule using a piecewise function. So let x represent the taxable income. Okay, and so we got the same chart here that we had before. Write a function you could use to find the tax for each of the following taxable incomes, and then find the income for that tax. Okay, so we're going to do one thing that's going to cover all of these, and it's going to come out of here. Okay, so here's our function. It's going to be f of x is going to equal, and we're going to have a whole bunch of different parts to this. So if our income is less than $18,450, so the tax is going to be 0. So it's going to be 0 when x is less than $18,450. Okay. Now it's going to be, now here's where it gets a little tricky. And I don't know if I got enough room to write this over here, but we'll see. All right, so my tax, the next one is going to be $1,845 plus 0.15 times x minus $18,450. Okay, so how did I get that? Well, here's if I fall into this range right here, I'm going to pay this amount of tax plus 15% on anything over this. So I got to take my income is x. I'm going to subtract this, and I'm going to take 15% of whatever that is and add it to this right here. Okay, so now, unfortunately, I don't have enough room here. Uh-oh. Let's see this. Oops. It's going to move this down here for now. Ah. Technical difficulties today. All right. So then this is going to be when x, whoops, I got to write a compound inequality here. So this is going to be when 18,450 is less than or equal to x, which is less than oh, I'm sorry, it's going to be not less than or equal to, it's going to be less than right here. Less than or equal to 74,900. Okay, that's when I'm going to use this one. Okay, next I'm going to do this section right here. So my tax is going to be 10,312.5 plus 0.25 times x minus this number right here, 74,900. When 74,900 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 151,200. Once you kind of get started on this, then it starts to get easier each line. Okay, that takes care of that line right there. So I'll put a little dot there to indicate which color we have. Okay, so then we're going to, oops. We're going to do this color for here. So this is going to be, my tax is going to be 29,387.5 plus 0.28 times x minus 151,200. And I'm going to have 151,200 is less than x is less than or equal to 230,450. Okay, next one, right here. So this tax is going to be $51,577.50 plus 33%, so 0.33 times x minus 230,450. Notice that's in parentheses. Okay, now over here I'm going to have 230,450 is less than x is less than or equal to 411,500. Okay, next. Let's try this nice cool color here. So the next one is going to be $111,324 plus 35%, so 0.35 times x minus 411,500. And that's going to be 411,500 is less than x is less than or equal to 464,850. And then lastly, I've got this one right here. So I'm going to pay $129,996 plus 39.6%. So that's 0.396 times x minus 464,850. And that's going to be when x is greater than 464,850. Okay, so all of that right there, and I hope I can get this all. Yeah. Okay. There's my compound that's my piecewise function. Sorry, I went brain dead for a second. Okay. Now what I need to do, once I've got that done, I can find the incomes here, or I can find the tax on these incomes really easy. So 54,360, I'm going to need my calculator, so get that out. And so 54,360, that's going to fall in here. That's going to be the blue one. So we'll do this in blue. It's going to be $1,845 plus 0.15 times 54,360 minus 18,450. Okay, now I just got to figure out what that is. So it's easy to plug it into your calculator at this point. 1845 plus 0.15, open parentheses, 54,360 minus 18,450. Close the parentheses. My tax is $7,231.50. Okay. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to pause the video here and then go ahead and do the rest of these and then jump back on here and compare your answers to what I get. Okay? So pause the video now, do those, and I'll see you in a couple minutes. Okay, so we're going to jump in here. I got 75,120 here. That's going to be in the green section here. So the tax is going to be $10,312.50 plus 0.25 times 75,120 minus 74,900. So this guy just barely cracked the next tax bracket. Okay, so this comes out to a tax of $10,367.50. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay, the next guy made $151,150. Oh, he just barely didn't make the next one. So that was good for him. He's at the top of his tax bracket. He doesn't have to pay additional tax. Okay, so that's going to be in the green again. So he's going to pay $10,312.50 plus 0.25 times 151,150 minus 74,900. Now it's just calculated on your calculator. So he's going to pay a tax of $29,375. Now the way this works is, you don't pay a penalty. Like, okay, let's say this guy had made just a little bit more money and he jumped into this next tax bracket. You don't get penalized a whole bunch on that because you only pay zero tax on the first $18,450 you make. And that goes to everybody. It could be you in high school, and it could be Warren Buffett, who makes billions of dollars, okay? He pays zero tax on the first $18,450. You pay 15% of the amount up to $74,900. You pay 25% on anything above $74,900, and so on. So if you're making $1 million a year, you're paying zero tax on this amount of money. You're paying 15% on the amount between here. You're paying 25% on the amount you pay there. You're paying 28% on the amount you pay there, 33% on that part, 35% on this part, and then you're paying 39.6% on the rest of it. Okay? So the next one, the guy makes $230,540. So, he just cracked into here, just barely. Okay, so he's going to be in the orange, and he's going to pay $51,577.5 plus 0.33 times $230,540 minus $230,450. So if you, $230,000. So he's basically paying 33% on $90. Okay, so here we go, 51,577.5 plus 0.33 times, let's make sure I subtracted in my head correctly. We'll go ahead and type that in. He's going to pay $51,607.20. Okie doke. The next guy made $321,986. He's still in this orange section here. Okay, so he's going to pay $51,577.5 plus 33% times $321,986 minus $230,450. Okay, so he's going to pay considerably more tax. He's going to pay a tax of $81,784.38. I don't know, I guess it would be nice to pay more in taxes than the average person makes in income for a year. Okay, the last guy made $556,782. He hit the highest tax bracket. So he's going to pay, this is actually an easier one to calculate, he's going to pay $129,996 plus 0.396 times 556,782. Minus 464,850. He's going to pay $166,401.07 in taxes that year. Okay, and there we go. So This is your homework page right here. You got one page today. It's pretty much like the last one. So you're going to write a function you could use from this information here and get the picture off of Google Classroom because it's much clearer. Okay, and then put those incomes in and figure out how much the tax is for each one of those. And that'll be it. So have a great day, and I'll see you next time.